I could have gone to jail if I didn't give enough opiates back in the 90s. And trust me, I fought that legislation like crazy.
You were on the forefront, but what we now know is that the pharmaceutical companies knew that these were highly addictive drugs and gave incentives to doctors, not you, to then give people limitless amounts.
Well, it was a little more complicated than that. The incentives were like speaking engagements and things like that to a very narrow number of doctors. There was an ethos, and it was enforced by the Joint Commission of Hospital Accreditation, the various medical societies. Everything was enforced. Pain became the fifth vital sign, and if you didn't pay attention to the fifth vital sign the way you paid attention to somebody's pulse, you were in legal trouble.
But is it fair to say that these rules and treatment in the pharmaceutical companies turned some doctors into drug dealers?
The drug companies were duplicitous. I'll tell you where they really jumped the shark for me is when the profession woke up, they started realizing this was a problem, thank God, and that's when the drug companies doubled down on their marketing, and that was where I thought, okay, now you guys have to pay. That's it.
You have this lawsuit, Purdue Pharmaceuticals offering to pay $12 billion to settle opioid lawsuits. And my passion for this, you know how close I was to Prince. And when people then, and I try not to cry in this, when people would say, well, you know, look at him, another drug addict, entertainer.
No, I just
and I was like, what is this what we now do to people? And knowing that I did a story on a mother, she's 35 years old. She lost custody of her 2 children, lost her marriage. She had a great business as a real estate agent, lost it all, and ultimately her life because she became addicted to opioids. I mean, these are the stories. So when the pharmaceutical companies and some doctors say, oh, we have now realized the problem, it just,
listen,
it's not honest.
It is honest now, but they were not honest before. And to say that we made a mistake, yeah, you did.
So what should happen to, what's the next level of the conversation? We've worked through the anger.
Yeah.
Now what now?
For me, look, so what happened was, the profession kind of woke up to the opioid addiction. They started cutting patients off, as opposed to bringing them in and going, you know, we have a new problem. I didn't intend this, but we have a second condition now. It's called addiction. We're going to get you treated. Instead, they cut the patients off as bad patients. And when you do that to an opiate addict, they go to the street, they get heroin, and heroin takes you homeless. That's what happens. So in a sense, the homeless is the last wave of the opioid epidemic. And then, of course, California, Oregon, Washington have welcomed them in with no consequences. And so that's committing them to die in the streets. We are allowing these people to die in the streets. And I wake up every day and I'm exercised about it. I can't stand it. I look out there, I see my patients. I worked with the population for 25 years. On top of that, we have a massive problem that's going to spread into the community at large. We have 12 million rats in Los Angeles and no rodent control plan. The rats in Southern California carry fleas that carry very dangerous conditions, something called typhus. My own son got typhus. I worked in San Gabriel Valley for 30 years. I knew we'd have a typhus outbreak. I started complaining about it 18 months ago. And on the heel, there's another organism that lives on those rat fleas and on those rats, and it causes plague. The last plague outbreak in the country was in Los Angeles when they had a similar bloom of rats.